Today we will take a look at the best camera for beginners for this year. If you want to find more information, check out links down below. Before we start, make sure you click subscribe button and like this video. Now let's get started. 5. Panasonic LUMIX FZ80. The Panasonic LUMIX FZ80 is a budget bridge camera. The Panasonic LUMIX FZ80 is decent for sports and wildlife photography. The built-in lens long focal length can help you zoom in on faraway subjects, like athletes in a stadium or race cars circling a track, and its optical stabilization feature smooths out a good amount of camera shake. Its autofocus system does a great job tracking slow-moving subjects but struggles more with faster-moving subjects and face tracking. This camera feels reasonably well built. It's plastic, and while the buttons feel somewhat cheap, they're nice and clicky and offer good tactile feedback. The Panasonic LUMIX FZ80 isn't especially portable, though it's pretty lightweight for a bridge camera. This camera feels quite comfortable to shoot with. It has a large, rubberized hand grip suitable for all hand sizes and feels secure in the hand. The electronic viewfinder is very small. The relatively low resolution combined with a very small 0.46x magnification makes it hard to see your shots clearly through the viewfinder. The menu system is very easy to use, thanks to its simple layout and organized tabs. You can easily navigate through it using the directional pad or tapping the touchscreen. 4. Fujifilm X-S10. The Fujifilm X-S10 is one of the best small, mid-range mirrorless cameras you can buy. It packs much of the Fujifilm X-T4's shooting power into a smaller body with IBIS and great handling. The Fujifilm X-S10 has been built as a true all-rounder that's as comfortable shooting video as it is stills. The X-S10's IBIS system is a real bonus for such a small camera. If you do a lot of handheld shooting, this can help you preserve image quality by letting you use longer shutter speeds. The Fujifilm X-S10's design is simultaneously vintage Fujifilm and a big change from its other mirrorless cameras. At first glance, it looks like a slightly smaller Fujifilm X-T4 with a larger, deeper grip. The Fujifilm X-S10's design is simultaneously vintage Fujifilm and a big change from its other mirrorless cameras. At first glance, it looks like a slightly smaller Fujifilm X-T4 with a larger, deeper grip. Because of that grip, the size difference isn't, in practical terms, much different from the X-T4. You won't be slipping the X-S10 into your pocket, but it is noticeably lighter than its sibling at 465 grams. 3. Nikon Z50. The Nikon Z50 is a 20.9MP mirrorless camera. The first time the company has put an APS-C sensor behind its new, larger Z lens mount. The company says the camera is designed to attract a generation of users who don't consider themselves to be photographers. And the Z50 is great for video, shooting 4K across the full sensor width, rather than a cropped version that some rivals have employed. 4K time-lapse sequences can be created in camera, while shooting in full HD adds additional slow-motion footage mode. The Z50 also features an electronic viewfinder. It's lower resolution than its full-frame cousins at 2.36 million dots rather than 3.6 million, but we found it to be sharp and with few signs of the lag that have plagued some of Nikon's competitors. One of the biggest selling points of the Nikon Z50 is how light and compact it is, but you can't truly appreciate these qualities until you're actually shooting with it. 2. Olympus OMD EM10 Mark IV. The EM10 Mark IV is an easy camera to overlook, but if you're looking for a small, stills-focused camera, it deserves serious consideration. Olympus has carefully refined this model over the years, keeping a strong focus on taking beautiful pictures. The EM10 Mark IV is lacking some of the more advanced features being touted by its pricier rivals, like phase detection autofocus, 4K/60p video and microphone/headphone inputs. This beginner camera's approachable button layout and combination of Bluetooth/Wi-Fi functionality means it's primarily designed to tempt smartphone photographers over to an interchangeable lens camera. This system is the same as the one used in Olympus' award-winning flagship EM1 series, and it works a treat for capturing images at slower shutter speeds handheld. The first thing that strikes you about the EM10 IV is its diminutive size. The mode dial that sits beside them provides straightforward access to the camera's 9 shooting modes, including video. There's also a dedicated video record button, placed sensibly on the shoulder of the camera for quick access. The camera's battery is rated to around 360 shots and under 30 minutes of video. This is typical for cameras in this class and at this price point. 1. Nikon D3500. The Nikon D3500 is a 24 megapixel entry-level DSLR with an APS-C CMOS sensor that is cheaper, lighter, and has a longer battery life than the D3400 that it replaced. The D3500's guide mode puts it into an easy-to-use space in the market. This mode makes it easy to tell the camera what kind of scene you're trying to capture and essentially teaches you the basics of photography, such as shutter speed, aperture, and exposure compensation along the way. It's not as simple as shooting with a smartphone, but the image quality is better than you'll get from your phone in a whole lot of situations. The D3500's battery life has increased by 30% and has a CIPA rating of 1,550 shots. That's a lot of photos, and these ratings much lower than you'll usually see in the real world. The D3500 is so compact and lightweight that, as someone who usually uses a higher-end body, it felt a little bit like shooting with a toy. It's comfortable for a full day of shooting. The camera's menu systems were easy enough to navigate for changing settings, but the layout of the camera's back buttons and dials left something to be desired. The grip itself is comfortable, but the redesigned layout of buttons makes the back and top of the camera a little cluttered.